to classify 4 input vectors xk and their respective classes tk for k is equal to 1 to 4 into 2 classes, such that t1 is equal to t2, which is equal to c1, which is equal to 1, and t3 is equal to t4, which is equal to c2, which is equal to 2. Let the two initial weight vectors for the classes c1 and c2 be selected as w1 is equal to x2 and w2 is equal to x3, assuming that 1 all the 4 input vectors are to be presented orderly as x1, x2, x3, and x4 in each iteration. 2. An immediate update is applied to each weight vector within each iteration, and 3. Updates are carried out in all the weight vectors with equal minimum distances from an input vector. Given the initial gain value g of 1 is equal to 0.3 and g of t plus 1 is equal to v, g of t for t1. Show the step-by-step calculation for the value of sum of all the differences between elements obtained by subtracting w2 from w1 as w1 minus w2 at the end of the first iteration. At the end of the first iteration, using g1 in the answer book, and submit your answer rounded to 2 decimal places to the rectangular box given below in the grading, and given x1, x2, x3, x4 values are this, and stuff like that. So here what you're going to do is we have to do 4 iterations and update the w1 and w2 values, and at the end we have to calculate w1 minus w2. Okay, to do the iteration they have given the x1 and x1 to x4, and also they have mentioned that here this k is equal to 1 into 4, 1 to 4, and it's also divided into 2 classes such that t1 and t2 are equal, which is 1, and t3 and t4 is equal to 2. So using this we can create a table for it, and this is a table where look like k ranges from 1 to 4, and then this is x1 is this, x2 is this, x3 is this, x4 is this, and then tk only has 2 values, which is 1 and 2. And as you can see in the question, t1 and t2 are same 1, and t3 and t4 are same, which is 2, and that's why we have 1 1 and 2 2 here. And this is our gain that's also provided in the question. Okay, g1 is the gain value, g1 is g of 1 is 0.3, so we put the gain right here. Now what we have to do is we know that w1 is equal to x2, that relation given in the question. Okay, and the x2 is this value. Let me underline that x2 is this value, and then also they mentioned w2 is equal to x3, which is this value. So we had to take this 0 1 1 and equate it to w1, and 1 1 0 to w3, I mean w2. So that's what we did here. w1 is equal to 0 1 1, w2 is equal to 1 1 0, and then we are going for the first iteration. First iteration is these two. Like if you see this one, this is x1, x2, x3, x4, and this is t1, and again this is also t1, and this is t2, and then this is t2. First iteration is x1 t1, second one is x2 t1, the third one is x3 t2, and the fourth one is x4 t2. But this is just to clarify this one. In the table, this is only the thing it will appear: k range, and then x values, and then tk values. This is just for the explanation. Okay, so first iteration we are doing this, that is x1 t1, and when we do that we put the x1 value, which is that is 0 0 1, and then w1 and w2, those are the values we have here, 0 1 1 and 1 1 0. Then we calculate the distance. So the distance between w1 and x1 we call it d1, and the distance we calculate like 0 minus 0, 1 minus 0, and then 1 minus 1, and we have to square them. So 0 minus 0 square, 1 minus 0 square, 1 minus 1 square, and you calculate, you get 1. And the d2 is distance between w2 and x1. So 1 minus 0 square, 1 minus 0 square again, and then 0 minus 1 square, and you add them together, that's 3. Okay, and once you got those two distances, then you have to see which one is smaller, and that way it has to be updated. So here when we compare, d1 is definitely smaller, which is 1, than d2, so we have to update the w1. If the d2 is smaller, we have to update w2. So here d1 is smaller, so we are updating the w1. And to update the W1, what we do is we put the W1 value here and then plus the gain, and then the corresponding X. So if you're updating W1, the X1 will appear. If you're updating W2, the X2 will appear here. So here we are updating the W1. So the gain multiplied by X1 minus the W1 again. Okay. So here 0, 1, 1, that's the W1. And then if you simplify this one, this is going to be 0 0.3, 0 minus 1, 0. We are just subtracting 0 minus 0, 0. 0 minus 1, minus 1. See, 1 minus 1, that's 0. So we are getting this. And now we add them to, like, multiply and add them. So if you multiply, this is going to be negative 0 0.3 in the middle. Other ones remain the same. So 0 plus 0, 0. 1 plus minus 0 0.3, which is going to give us 0 0.7. And 1 minus 0, that is going to be 1. Okay, that's how we got W1 here. And after we got the W1 value, then we got the next iteration, which is X2 T1. For this one, we need the X2, which is 0, 1, 1. And then W1, W2 remains this. W1, you have to change it like, okay, this one's supposed to be 0 0.7 here. Okay, that's a mistake. So W1, you updated it, and now you have to bring the same W1 here. You don't use this one anymore because it's all updated and brought it here. So you have to use this one instead, W1. And then W2 remains the same because we didn't do anything for the W2, so it remains the same. Now again, we calculate the distance. 0 minus 0 square, 0 0.7 minus 1 square, 1 minus 1 square. And we calculate the value that gives us 0 0.09. And the distance 2, that is 1 minus 0, 1 minus 1, 0 minus 1 square, all of them. And then 1 plus 0 plus 1. If you calculate, you get 2. Now you have to compare which distance is smaller. As you can see, 0 0.09 is definitely smaller than 2. So we know that D1 is smaller than D2. Therefore, we have to update the W1 again. Okay, so to update the W1, what we do is we bring the W1, which is 0 0.71, and then plus the gain, and then corresponding X value. So if you're updating the W1, then X1 is the value we have to bring. 0, wait a minute. Yeah, that was my mistake. Like, for the first one, we are using the X1, right? So that's why we had to bring X1. But for the second one, we are using the X2. So we had to bring this X2 to here. And for the third one, we had to bring the X3 and stuff like that. So here we are bringing the X2 and then minus the let me double check. This is W1. We are updating the W1. So 0 0.071 plus this one minus this should be W1 as well. Okay. Now 0, 0 0.71, and then if you subtract 0 minus 0, 0, 1 minus 0 0.7, this should give us 0 0.3 here. 0 0.30 and 0, 0 0.71, and then if you multiply 0, 0 0.3 times 0 0.3, that's 0 0.09, and if you add them to, then 0 0.3 times 0, that's 0, and then you add them together, 0 0.7 plus 0 0.09, that's 0 0.79, and 1 plus 0, 1, others are 0. Okay, like that. Then we go to the next iteration, which is x3 of t2, and that is this. X3 value is 110, w1. Again, we calculate the distance, and then we see which one is smaller. In this case, d2 is smaller, so we have to update w2 in this case. And then if we are updating w2, then we put the w2 value here, which is 110. We don't deal with the w1 anymore because and also when you're bringing to the next one, you have to make sure you bring the updated w1. Okay, but here we don't need the w1 anymore because we are updating w2. So we put the w2 value of 0. Yeah, let me double check what's the w2 values. It should be 110. Yeah, this one should be 110 here. That's a mistake. Okay, then so we calculating the distance. D2 is smaller than D1, so we have to update W2. To update the W2, what I do is I bring the W2 here and then plus the gain times the X value, which is 110 in this case, minus the W2 again, that is 110. And if you calculate this one, this is going to be whole thing is 0, so this is 0, which means W2 is not changed, it's remain the same. Then for the next one, you bring the same W2. If it's changed, you have to bring the changed one, but here the W2 is not changed, so it's going to be the exact same one. And then calculate the distance again, you compare which one is smaller. Again, D2 is smaller, so you have to update the W2 again. That's X4 of T2. This is the last iteration you have to do. Okay. So you do that again. So W2, you bring the W2 and then gain, then corresponding X value, that's 100 minus W2 again. And then you calculate the final one, the 1 per 0 0.0, 1 0.70, 1 0.70. So this is our final step. And after that, we had to calculate according to the question. They're asking us to find out W1 minus W2. We have to calculate that. To calculate that one, this is our W1 in the final stage. We look at here the last updated W1, which is this, and then last updated W2 is actually this, so 1 0.70, and then we subtract them like W1 minus W2, so 0 minus 1 minus 1, 0.079 minus 0.7, which is 0.09, 1 minus 0, 1, and then we sum all of them, so minus 1 plus 1 go cancels, and then we get the final answer as 0.09. And that's how we do this kind of problems. I hope you guys found this video helpful. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe my channel. See you guys on my next video.